Welcome to the webinar. My name is Mary Carnahan, and I am an e-learning resource specialist at the Department of Education. And welcome today to today's webinar, Lights, Camera, Action, Student-Produced Videos to Demonstrate Learning. We're excited to welcome Rushton Hurley from Next Vista to this webinar today. He'll be sharing some great information about student-created videos, but first I want to share a little bit of information about our new partnership. We're excited to be partnering with Next Vista Learning to amplify our students' audience and potential recognition for excellence. Indiana students are encouraged to enter the seasonal contests conducted by Next Vista for Learning. Currently, the summer contest, Creative Bridge, is taking place. There will also be fall and spring contests that students can enter. We will promote each seasonal contest via our social media outlets and on our webpage for the HSDL Digital Media Festival. When completing the contest entry form, Indiana students simply indicate that they are also entering their videos into the HSDL Digital Media Festival. And Next Vista will share a list of the Indiana finalists for each of their contests with Michelle in our office, who's the coordinator of HSDL, and the Office of E-Learning will recognize each of the finalists and include them in the selection for the HSDL Digital Media Festival. The Digital Media Festival finalists will be announced prior to the event. The festival will take place in conjunction with the HSDL Spring Conference. The festival includes a showing of the finalists and breakout workshops on honing digital media production skills. So there's lots of cool stuff for students. I'll include the URL for the Digital Media Festival in the chat window in just a moment. Please visit the site for more information and contact Michelle Green with questions. And her contact information is on the HSDL website. Now I'd like to welcome Rushton Hurley. He is the founder and executive director of Next Vista for Learning, and he's going to share with us today a lot of great information about student-created video. And I would encourage you all to, if you have any questions or comments, to please include them in the chat window. I'm going to stop sharing here, and it's going to look a little bit different when Rushton shares his screen. I think will just show up at the side, and we'll leave the chat open it will leave the chat open on the right. So just share questions and comments, and be sure when you do share a comment that you choose to send to everyone from the drop-down. Otherwise, your comments just come to me. And we want to make sure that everybody can see your questions and comments. And so, Rushton, I've made you the presenter, so let me know if you have problems sharing your screen.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mary. It is a pleasure to have the chance to send, I think, some pretty exciting messages to educators across Indiana. I'm going to call up a little bit of this so that we are able to see the different slides. There we go. And may I also say that I want to give a special shout out to everybody who attended the EdTech Team, EdTech Team programs that have taken place across Indiana recently, as well as the E-Revolution program that was just last week down in Evansville. It was just a fantastic opportunity to share ideas with people. So when I look at this, what I'm thinking about is how to help teachers get into kind of the right space for getting involved in our digital media opportunities that the Department of Education and Next Vista for Learning are working together to make happen for all of you as teachers and your students. Now, Mary, is everything good so far?
Yes, everything looks fine.
Awesome. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch on a number of different pieces about how to think about video, because I'm working on the assumption that a lot of teachers look at video and they say, you know, That would be great. That would be wonderful. I have no idea how to get into it. And so I decided that the slides that I would use are focused on the idea of implementing a project. So if you're going to do digital video with your students, what kinds of things are involved? What kinds of things do we want them to be focusing on, and how do we get them not just engaged in the process, but also excited about what they can do, and more to the point, bringing higher quality work to what they produce. So with that, let's kind of jump into this. I'm going to give you a number of different ideas, and I will tell you that all of these slides are available after the program as well. You'll have this as a recording from Mary's team at the Department of Education. And then also you'll have these slides separately, so you can get back to that information a couple of different ways. What we want you to do is just to see the fun opportunities that are part of it, and the easier it is for you to get to the info, the better. All right, so when we start with something like this, a lot of teachers stop and go, oh gosh, I don't know, can I really do this? The answer, of course, is, heck yeah, you can do this. However, you want to ease into it. So when we think about having students do digital video projects, I think that to make that really work well, what we want to do is get the students in a frame of mind of understanding the different pieces of that process. So, for example, when students work on video projects, if they haven't had any preparatory activities, there's all kinds of things that they may begin to ignore quite quickly. And I think anyone listening to this broadcast or the recording would nod head at the thought that, okay, yeah, my kids do a terrible job of citing their sources, and it's hard to hold their feet to the fire. I mean, a lot of people, kind of in that space. So we're going to talk about some ideas there. And so when I think about a good preparatory activity, I am thinking about something that allows them to focus in on that, to citing their source. And I will tell you right now that this is not going to be an hour full of slides with tons of text. Really, I have this all set up so that when you go back to it later, there's going to be plenty of information for you to get to the different pieces you need. So for example, on this slide, there is a link to a template, a 2-slide Google presentation. And the idea is to simplify this digital media project right down to just a couple of activities, so that the students are not ignoring important pieces. Instead, they're really saying, okay, yeah, we're going to do this right. We're going to, just there's only so many ways to mess it up, right? So with this first part, the slide that you are looking at right now is a slide where there is one and only one piece of digital media on it. It's an image taken, in this case, from Flickr, and it's Creative Commons license. Now, a word to folks about what that means. So when we talk about copyright, we all kind of understand, the basic idea of copyright, all rights reserved. But when we talk about Creative Commons licensing, what we're talking about is a nice middle ground between copyright and public domain, which is some rights reserved. And the some rights reserved works this way. This is a bit of an oversimplification, but it certainly captures the thought. Hey, I've put this photo up, I've created this music and put it up, I've got these sound effects up, I've put this footage up, and it's free for you to use as long as you cite your source. So that is really the arrangement with Creative Commons, to essentially let people know, yes, this is something that you may use, but you must cite your source. So as you look at this slide, you see that there's the image right in the middle, and then there is a form, a kind of citation at the bottom. Now, some people are much more into particular kinds of citations than others. For my purposes, I think of citation in this regard. It should do two things. It should point the person who's viewing it or listening to it or whatever back to where it was found, and it should also highlight the person whose work it is. So, for example, if you have a citation that is just a link to somewhere, and it's not clear, who really is the person who did it or anything, then it's failing that second test. And if it's a link that's at the end of a video, it may be actually too cumbersome to try to type out again, so it may even fail the first test as well. So in this slide, we've got the information, which by itself could get you back to the page, but there's also the added link that is embedded in the title of the piece. Now the second slide would just be why one chose that particular image. So you can imagine starting the school year where you're trying to get to know your students, and you have them do an activity where they take, they find a Creative Commons licensed image and tell why they chose it. Maybe that's just to introduce them to you and each other. Maybe it's to tie their interest in the topic in some way so that others can say, oh, that's why this person picked this class, or something like that. So the idea is just to have something very, very simple so that people can get on board with the fact that you will require them to use a Creative Commons licensed source for their media, and that they will need to cite it. Now, it may seem like a bit of a bummer that I would start out with, say, the legal side of digital media, but really what I'm thinking about is more educational. What we want is for our students to learn how to build off of other people's work, to be able to look at what others have done and to critique it and to offer new suggestions related to it and say if this is accurate and if this research works, then perhaps it can be taken in this direction, and how would we test that? That's really the work of building off of somebody else's ideas. And so that whole idea of citation is not just kind of the policing of legal requirements. It's about how we think about how we educate our kids. And I think that we can get them in that space where they learn to share appropriately, to use other people's work appropriately, and to bring their own ideas in ways that can be quite creative and quite insightful. So there is a little tool for you right there, that template, and you'll find that link in the slides. Just make sure you get the link to the slides that you'll find at the end of this presentation. So when we think about digital media projects, and we're going to talk about kind of what we want kids to do a little farther along, but I still want to, before we get there, I still want to be in that space of, well, how does this work, right? How do you get your students to think in terms of doing a video project? Doesn't that involve all kinds of, kind of weird this and that and demands on our time and all that kind of thing? And the answer is there are certainly things to consider, but it isn't as complicated as many teachers often expect it to be. So we're going to pretend that all of you who are catching this broadcast and who are watching the recording, that kind of thing, are my class. And I tell you now, guys, we're going to do a video project. And your response is something along the lines of, woohoo, because everyone likes a video project, pretty much. So how are we going to deal with this? Well, first, I tell you this. All right, guys, so your project is due in 6 weeks. Now, 6 is not a number set in stone by any stretch. The scope of the project is going to determine how long you would want to give your students to work on this kind of thing. However, they need enough time to really be able to develop an idea and to get their own kind of creative insights into it. So if it's Thursday and you say there's a video project due Monday, unless you're teaching video production and you have some very, very small focused project, that's just a bad idea. So what you want is to give them plenty of time. So when I say 6 weeks, let me be more specific. This video project that we're going to do is due in 6 weeks, but the script is due in 2 weeks. Now, the script is actually the key piece. Most of the people who will try out this video project, have kids enter the contest, things like this, most of these people are not video production teachers. Most of them are core subject teachers. You might be teaching, middle school environmental science, or high school U.S. history, or late elementary school, across a curriculum, different projects. There's all kinds of different things that this could be. But the script is what's going to tell you that the students are taking the concepts you're teaching and meaningfully working them into their idea for the video. Without this kind of filter, kids will make videos about all sorts of things that have, let's just say, a tenuous relationship to content. And what we want them to do is to make really cool videos that tie appropriately to the content that you teach. So the script is actually what gets the grade. So you have them make scripts, and this could be done in Google Docs, it could be done pencil and paper. There's any number of ways you can do the script, right? But this is the written assignment that tells you this is how we're taking the ideas from our class, and this is how we're going to put them in motion into our video. Don't let them start their videos until you approve their script. And you might say, okay, great. The script gets the grade. That makes sense. It ties to the content. Yeah. But what then motivates the student to make the video if the script is what gets the grade? And I'll tell you, it is the audience. Because you let them know. You let them know. These videos are going to be watched by the entire class. So everybody's going to see what you do. Now that's important. That's really important because this changes their perception of what's involved in this project. Something I talk about all the time. I say this all the time. Something I'm a bit known for, really, but it's just a line I'm going to now inflict on all of you, which is this. When students are creating for other students, for a larger audience, they want their work to be good. But if it's just for the teacher, they want it to be good enough. And that difference is something that we want to be aware of and use to our advantage so that what we see the students create is something that's actually quite strong because they will do it when they know there's a larger audience. Now, you can, in terms of assessment, you can do things like say, okay, the grade you got for the script you only get to keep if you actually produce the video. Now, that is kind of an easy way to handle it. And again, for non-video production teachers, you probably don't want to spend your time trying to assess the student's videography skills, right? Oh, your lighting was imperfect here. Oh, I have this to say about your audio imbalance, you know. as long as what's in the video can be easily understood, you know, whether it's reading or listening or both, then, you know, I'm good with that as a teacher. I'm okay with them giving me something that perhaps isn't perfect in terms of videographical skills, if that's even a word, but just something that allows me to go, okay, yeah, I see what you're doing with these ideas, and I see the creativity that's part of it, and it's clear, and that's what we're shooting for with this. They might say, okay, well, wait a minute. What about these kids who don't know how to create video? I mean, like, are we assuming they know how to make video? I mean, they're kids, right? They know everything about technology, right? They came out of the womb with passwords, right? No. What we want to do is we want to give them some out because, you know, you may be in a place where there are very few opportunities to do this. So this could be by allowing them to do things like turn in a poster instead of a video. Now, I really see this as useful on two fronts. One, if you have an annoying parent who wants to take you to task for assigning a video project, I can't believe you assigned my child a video project. You haven't told the child how to learn to use video, blah, 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 blah. You know, all that kind of thing. I mean, that's just annoying is what that is. And you know, it's not like when we give them assignments, you have parents come in, I can't believe you gave my child this writing assignment. You haven't taught them how to use a pencil. I mean, and granted, there's difference there. But rather, I want us to think in terms of, okay, it's good to be able to turn to a parent like that and say, no, it's okay. The child can make a poster and present it to class, and that's just fine. The real beauty here, though, is that the students hear something totally different, yeah? So if everybody's going to see the videos that get made, and you know, somebody gets up and shows their video, and everybody's like, yeah, that was cool, because they tend to respond really well to each other's attempts with video, right? Yeah, that was great. You don't want to be that next kid up that says, here's my poster. You know, you just don't want to be that. Whatever it takes not to be that student, you know, you will do. You will learn to make a video. You might say, well, yeah, I mean, I get it. They don't want to be that kid. Good enough. But they may need some help, and I, as a teacher, may not have the skills to help them with that. Granted, instead, let them know they can work with somebody else. You may work with one or two others if those people are willing to work with you. That's a good caveat. So if you let them do that, I think that's fine. Sometimes when people think about grades, they think, oh, I don't know. You know, I don't want a significant chunk of their grade to be determined by their work in a group, blah, blah, blah. And I get that. But I don't see like a video project as something that's going to be 50% of their grade. It might be 5 or maybe even 10 or something. But just not a big deal. It's okay for kids to work with each other. That way, you know, given that there is quite a range of skills involved in making a video, they can begin to tap into each other's strengths. It doesn't take long for a group to get too big, right? Or it doesn't take too many, I should say, for a group to get too big. So 3 is probably upper limit on this, but you know, it kind of depends on your kids and how they work with each other and things like that. Now, I strongly recommend that you have time limits on these videos. I mean, strongly, because if you don't, kids are going to create these really, really long videos, and they're going to be really, really bad, and you have to watch them because you're honor bound, because you assigned the thing. And so you don't want like this 20-minute video which is like half kung fu or half kids walking around, you know, and just, you know, smiling and wee, and no, right? You know, what you want is the kids to work with the content. That's what this is about. Consequently, make them really short, right? So for the contest purposes, the time limit is 90 seconds. But as you're getting kids into the mode of making these things, give them shorter ones, 60, 45, 30 seconds. And they'll complain, oh, I want more time. It's don't we all, just deal with it. And then they'll go and they'll make good videos and they'll be fine. But time limits are a really good move. It limits your exposure. There are other rules that I have used. This is not part of the contest, but it is part of how I worked as a teacher with my students. And I was just like, no, I don't want any death or people killing each other or even harming each other. No death and violence. And they're like, oh, our creativity. And I'm like, yeah, just make a video. And they did, and they were good. I just didn't want to see, you know, like another video of kicking a man when he's down. Not interested. Finally, when you think about implementing this thing, one of the rules is this. Okay, guys, we're going to do a video project. When it comes time to turn it in, send me a link. If I click on the link and a video pops up and I can see and hear it, you turned it in. And if not, you didn't. Which is a good thing to say, not just like at the outset, but multiple times from then on. Because otherwise you'll have kids who send you a link, you'll click on it, it'll be listed as private, and you'll say, hey, this is listed as private. Oh, really sorry about that. I'll change that when I get home today. At that point you say, feel free, it's late. Oh, but no, you knew. So let them know, because otherwise kids are going to use the private thing to buy themselves, you know, another day or something dishonorable like that. So there are several ideas related to just rules for implementing the project. So let's get into the idea of quality. How do we get these kids to make good videos? Because if they're going to make videos, if we're going to watch them, they might as well be good, yeah? Because those are the kind of things also that get us excited about their possibilities and get them excited about their possibilities. When they make a really good video and everybody in that class turns and looks at them and says, that was great, those are good moments. Those are really good moments. When you pull the child aside and you say, you know, you really did a good job with this. You clearly worked hard. You know, that growth mindset versus fixed mindset thing, right? And that's very real. You clearly worked hard. And it's true, and they know it, then they feel it. Because a lot of kids get praised for doing things like, well, you walked, and you walked with your left foot and then your right. Well done. You know, I mean, we do that kind of thing in the U.S., and that's just building a certain kind of cynicism in young people, and that's a bad idea. Off of my soapbox, there we go. So fostering quality. And what we want is for them to come to this from a standpoint of having seen a lot of other students' work. They need to see other kinds of videos, other kinds of attempts to do these kinds of things, you know, these short 90-second videos especially, so that they can get some sense of, okay, there's a lot of different ways to do this. If you ask a group of students to create a video teaching something, which is kind of the nature of the contest, right? Creatively explain something in 90 seconds or less that one might encounter in school. If you do that, chances are fairly good one of them is going to stand in front of the whiteboard while the other one explains it at the whiteboard, because that's their experience of people teaching stuff. But what we want is something much more interesting than that, which is them using the power of video to bring all kinds of interesting visuals into play so that they can all the more effectively share an idea creatively. So let's take a look at some possibilities with this. On this particular slide, you're going to see 3 links. The first one, and all of these are accessible via nextvista.org, nextvista.org. Now, the first one is our careers videos. These are not limited to 90 seconds, by the way. So this set, got about 100 of these, are videos made by students and some teachers working with them, designed to help tell about different careers. And the thought is, okay, a lot of kids don't have any real sense of the breadth of careers that are out there and available. And if they were able to see some videos where they find out that people get paid to do things like pilot underwater vehicles for science research, And that seems really, really cool. That's motivating to them. What? You get paid to do that? Yes. Will I have to pay attention in math class? I'm thinking you will. So, you know, you have these kinds of conversations, but whatever it takes to get them to connect and stop and go, oh, okay, cool. That second step, the service videos, we actually do, and in connection with the Hoosier Student Digital Learning Program, we're doing the 90-second academic videos, but we do have another contest that's out there about service videos, where we have students get to know charities in their communities, interview volunteers, research, you know, kind of their histories and their work, and then to make short videos telling how those charities help the community. And so we do stuff like that. And watching those is good too, not necessarily because your kids may be making charity videos, although I'd love for them to do so, but instead because they're seeing a variety of videos. Just like in the careers videos, there's just a range, right? And so watching different videos can allow kids to go, oh, wow, you know, that one was really cool for this reason. And that one was really boring for this reason. And if they talk through the bad thing, oh, it was kind of boring, you know, they just only had one shot the entire time. They interviewed the guy, and it was just camera was on his face the entire time, kind of boring. You're like, right, don't do that. Oh, it was terrible, you know, they were interviewing this guy, but he was standing next to the road, and all this noise of the cars. Right, don't do that, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So getting the students into that mode of figuring out what to avoid is, I think, in large part, not a matter of handing them a sheet saying, make sure not to do these things. That tends to go into the eyes, out the ears, and oh, you gave us a sheet when? You know, that kind of stuff. Rather, we want them to see videos and to see things that are clearly not so cool and to talk about it so as to optimize the chances that they are not going to make the same mistake. And that last link there, the contest finalist videos, we've got about 180, between 180 and 200 videos or so that have been finalists in our contests over the last 5 years. And there's just a lot of cool videos there. And so if you tell the students, okay, here's a set of 200 videos, choose any 3 just based on what you see in the title, and watch them. And then, you know, we'll come back and we'll talk about it. Now, that can lead to a whole lot of talk about creative approaches to videos. And so that's kind of what we're shooting for there. Now, imagine for a second asking them to watch the videos individually. That's their homework, right? Here you go. All right, pick 3 of these and watch them. And first of all, the kids are like, whoa, hashtag best assignment ever, watching videos for homework, excellent. Not the kids talk that way, but still. And then once you bring them back in the class, they'll talk about it in groups together, and then you talk about it as a class. And so that gets these discussions about the strengths, the weaknesses, and other things, you know, in a real good place for them to actually work with it. Have them look for, what did they like? What was compelling about the video? What is an area for improvement, which is a really nice way of saying, you know, what stank about that video, right? If you're focused on a particular subject, ask them how they'd validate the information that's presented in the video. Like, what would we do in order to figure out whether this is accurate? That's a really good process as well, especially for the upper grades. And then finally, how would you have approached that video differently? Had you been making that video, what would you have done differently? There is a great pattern in that kind of conversation for thinking about making really good videos. That kind of discussion yields much better videos. Okay, so when we talk about this, this is not simply you know, the state of Indiana and this little nonprofit Next Vista for Learning saying, make great videos. It's much more about getting kids to understand their possibilities. And so a lot of what happens when kids do assignments is they're just trying to check off the box. Am I done yet? Is it over? Did I take this off the list of things I have to do, off the list of things that affect me? You know, we don't want them there. Instead, we want them to do the assignments that you give them. Come to you and say, here, how can I make it better? Here's what I did. What do you think? Can I make it better? How can I make it better? I'm not worried about any kid who's trying to improve their work. Like, if that's how they see the world, then do it. Right? They're definitely on a good path. So that's what we're shooting for. So let's talk about this in terms of the contests. When we're talking about the contest, we're talking about the 3 academic contests we do each year. We do a fall, a summer, and a spring, or more accurately, from the standpoint of what we're doing at the moment, a summer, a fall, and a spring. And in these contests, we're asking kids and teachers to come up with creative ways of addressing things that happen in school. So how do you teach stuff in some creative way? I've got an extra link there to all of our contests. You can explore that stuff. The current one is Creative Bridge, And on our homepage, on the right side, you'll see a link to it. You'll see a new image and link when the fall contest rolls around. Hey, what's it called? I have no idea yet, but I will by the time it happens. Okay, so let's look at these contests in terms of their rules and the concerns, and let's take a look. The first is short. 90 seconds or less, creatively explain something one might encounter in school. We get all kinds of great videos, just via this one very generic kind of approach to it. Sometimes they kind of easily match stuff that's in school. Sometimes it's a little mysterious. Once got a video called How to Make a Sword with an Oxyacetylene Torch and a Grinder. And I showed it to my buddy, and he said, wow, other than reporting the kid to the FBI, what do we do with this? And I was like, all right. So we created a special category because I wasn't sure which class How to Make a Sword fell into. It's not as if we have, like metalworking as one of our categories, although perhaps we should have. But we created a category called Inspiration and Creativity, which we think sounds great, much better than we had no idea what to do with your video. Into that set also went the very clever video, How to Be Sneaky. These two high school girls are like, see, make sure you've eaten food so your stomach doesn't rumble, move along the wall, dress in dark clothes. I'm like, which class did you learn this? But anyway, it's a clever video. So 90 seconds or less is what you got for the instructional part of the video. You do have up to another 60 seconds for the credits. So you're using media from copyright-friendly sources. Matter of fact, specified copyright-friendly sources. It's all in our instructions. And then you create credits, and that's the way to do that. Let's address those two pieces real quick. So the Creative Commons stuff we were talking about before, this covers things like footage and images and music and sound effects, right? And so all of this is stuff for which we've identified certain sites that you're free to use. I also encourage everybody to get to know Creative Commons Search, which you can find at search.creativecommons.org. Search.creativecommons.org. And use it to find out how you can get to all kinds of good material that is legally available for you to use and material that you put online where anybody can see it. Okay. Now, the citations for this are not complex. I mean, you saw from the example slide earlier that we're really looking for the title, the person responsible, and the site from which you get it. Adding a little extra, such as the specific Creative Commons licensing, is certainly cool, as is a link, but not a big long link. If what you have is a link that goes, ADQ _R3 blah blah blah, anything like that, just say no to that kind of thing, and instead maybe create a little tiny URL or goo.gl or bit.ly or whatever your favorite URL shortener might be, so that allows someone to have a reasonable chance of actually being able to follow it back to wherever they found it. And I'm talking about video, of course, so they're reading it at the end. Now, release forms. This is one of those things that this is not the fun part of making videos. What we do with our contest is this. We ask that you assure us that you have a release form for anyone identifiable in the video. What does identifiable mean? For us, that really means visually identifiable. If someone is merely speaking and they never say their name, that doesn't count. If they're kind of in the background and it's hard to see who they are, that doesn't count. But if they're clearly in view, then you should have a release form for that, because this is a video that's going up online and anybody can get to it. Now, we don't want the forms. We just want the teacher to assure us that you have the forms. And that could be the form that your school already uses for all kinds of media things. And that is fine. So when we ask people to submit a video, let's say for a minute that we're talking about a high school student submitting a video. The high school student submits the video, and the teacher submits the teacher verification form. So our assumption is that the teacher and the student have talked together about this video, and that they've ideally worked together to make sure it's as good as it can possibly be, that they've covered any inaccuracies in it as well, of course. Matter of fact, the teacher is assuring us that this is the case when he or she fills out that form. And then they also check the box that says, we have release forms for anybody identifiable in the video. I'll note that you can make great videos without anyone being identifiable, right? You could have a video that is all artwork, animation, anything like people in costume. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to have a video where no one is identifiable, which removes that issue entirely. so you know. Now, we have 2 deadlines for each of our contests. This is, when we think about the effort with the Hoosier Student Digital Leadership Program, what we're trying to do is get kids to make great videos and to do it over the course of the school year. Now, there's a point here with this, right? What we want is for students to try their hand at this multiple times, because the second time a student takes a shot at making a video, it's almost assuredly going to be better than the first time. And we want them to really kind of raise their game, as you go forward, up that game, right? So we have 2 deadlines in each contest. The first be considered in the contest must be received and meet our rules by the final deadline. The early bonus deadline is designed to do 2 things: to motivate students to get things to us a little earlier. There's a couple of points added on the score. The scoring is in the instructions of the contest by getting it in early. But more to the point, we give feedback on every video that comes in. So we get the video, we write them back. Hey, this looks good. Good luck in the contest. That's the minority experience right there. Mostly, we'll write back and we'll say, okay, at this part of the video, it was hard to understand what was being said. Could you clean up that audio and send it back? Hey, I noticed you've got music, but no credit for it. That doesn't meet our rules. Can you add the credit and send it back, letting us know that it's from one of the sites listed in the rules? If I had $1 for every video that I've gotten where stuff came in from a site not listed in the rules, I would have many, many dollars, just saying. Okay, last little bit on this one. We have different strands in the contests. So there are student strands. Those are videos made by, well, students. There are teacher strands, teachers. And then there's the collaboration strand. And so any video that is where the planning and or the editing is done by, 1 or more teachers with 1 or more students, that's a collaboration video. Now, we initially did that for the reason that the high school students couldn't compete at all with the well-choreographed and cute 3rd and 4th graders. So that was the initial motivation for creating the collaboration strand. It really just gives us a chance to celebrate more videos. I will tell you this as well. We get fewer submissions in the collaboration category than anything else. Most of the videos come in the student category. A lot of videos come in the teachers category, and a handful of videos come in the collaboration category. So if you're really trying to get into the finalist strand, hint, good opportunity there. And by the way, one amazingly strong move to get into the finalist category is to be a student who enters a video in the summer. For obvious reasons, we don't get tons and tons of those. And so our final deadline for the summer contest is in August, late August. So you're in touch with some kids via whatever tools you guys use. Feel free to let them know. Chances are good. Okay. Now this is the logo for my little attempt to save the world from ignorance. Next Vista for Learning, nextvista.org, and there's all kinds of information there. You can also contact me directly. I am very happy to answer your questions. You write me and say, I'm an Indiana teacher, and I caught that webinar, and I'm really excited about this, but I don't know how to do X, Y, or Z. I will write you back eventually, just as soon as I'm able. I tend to get a lot of emails, so it may take me a few days, but I'll do it because I want you to be excited about this as a possibility. I want your kids to create things that are celebrated across the state and that we can celebrate in our contest internationally. That's one of the things you get, by the way, in our contest, international glory. How can you not like that? What else do you get? You also get certificates. They're beautiful. And gift cards. So finalists actually earn a gift card. How much? $25. That's not much. Well, we're a nonprofit, and it's better than getting hit by a truck. So there you go. The winning video gets a $50 video gift card, which is nice. One for each student? No, just one per video. Oh, wait it. And by the way, a little addition here is that we are nicely supported by the WeVideo people. That's the company, wevideo.com, wevideo.com. They make an online video editor, and any video made with wevideo.com is actually in for a special opportunity as well, because the best video each contest made using WeVideo earns a GoPro camera. No way, a GoPro camera. Pretty cool. So feel free to write if you have more questions about that, but it just means using their tool as a part of the process. All right. So with that, you have been listening to me ramble for a good 30-35 minutes, which is probably a way to work all kinds of bad karma out of your system. and I certainly appreciate it. However, I want to also kind of get us into that space where we can answer any questions you may have. If something has come up that I just described in pathetic fashion, perhaps I can clarify in some good way. And here's how to stay in touch with me. You're like, wow, what a fine-looking young man that is. And young is the key thing. That was me 10 years ago, so wait a minute. There's my email address. Twitter is a good tool for professional development. A lot of people don't understand that, but it actually is. Oh, but the people write things like, I just ate a bagel. Look, if you're on Twitter and what you see is, I just ate a bagel, that's your fault. Don't follow that person. Follow people who are like, hey, the Department of Ed has this cool, video contest. Those are the people you follow who let you know about cool opportunities. So our video library is at nextvista.org. I was a little late to Instagram, so I'm at Rushton was taken. Get it? And then there's free resources, tons of free resources, including a section devoted to digital media at nextvista.org/resources. I put out a newsletter once a month about all kinds of cool things happening, with our contest, new videos on our site, lots of freebies, stuff to read, stuff to watch, stuff to try, and anything I think might just be inspiring in one form or another. And you can get back to all of these slides, share them with your favorite people, tinyurl.com/implementing-video. That should get you to these slides, and you can enjoy them to whatever extent makes sense for you. So with that, I will open up to any questions you may have. I hope that what I've described to you is of interest, you're excited, and I would love to be able to work with you. So please don't hesitate to reach out and contact me. Let's get your students to create things that will help other people learn stuff and also earn them some cool goodies like certificates and gift cards and, of course, the very important international glory. So with that, Mary, talk to me. What do we do next?
Well, thank you, Rushton. That was awesome information. I love that it's, what you shared has dual purpose. It really is helpful with people just utilizing video creation in their classrooms for assignments and assessments and such, but also then, like you said, moving one step further and entering contests and moving outside of the classroom and getting kids to realize that they can share not only for their classmates, their teacher, their school, but also whoever can connect to it via the wonderful internet where it can get to everybody. So I love that. It looks like Becky had asked about video equipment and editing software. I'm guessing she's just looking like where to begin with that kind of stuff. So what thoughts do you have to share with her on that?
Yeah, there's a number of different ways to do it. I would encourage people to start simply. So things like just using images. You can make good videos that are narrated series of images. So you could make a good video without even having a single camera of the still or footage kind, right? You can also have students do simple audio projects using any number of audio tools. So anytime you've got a device with a microphone, then by using Audacity or soundtrap.com, which I would encourage people to take a look at as well. That's soundtrap.com. An online garage band, essentially, is what that is. Very, very cool stuff. You can get them to just kind of plan and do really simple things. For the cameras, you might have some old flip cameras sitting around. Those will work. You might have kids who are carting around, smartphones, and that'll work as well. But I want you to visualize something. Imagine that you're holding up a smartphone, like your iPhone or your Nexus or whatever it is, and that you're either holding that phone vertically or horizontally. Please encourage the kids to hold their phones when shooting footage for their videos horizontally, right? Because that way you don't look like you're looking through slats in a fence or something. But anything, the one question you have for any given tool is, how does the recorded footage get into my editing program? So, it might be that you're sharing it a particular way. You might say, okay, I shot this film. I used the tool on the device to upload it directly to YouTube or Vimeo, and then I used KeepVid to grab my own footage that way. And you know, you might be able to pull it in that way. It's already converted perhaps for you in a way that's useful. So there's a lot of approaches to that. In terms of the editing software that's out there, depends on your device. But you know, if you have a Windows machine, there's Windows Movie Maker. If you have a Mac laptop, there's iMovie. If you have an iPad, there's the iMovie app, which, while not free, or it actually may be free with newer versions of it, it's a great app, and you can make great things with that. Whatever your tool is, I mean, there are certainly other tools. On Chromebooks, use wevideo.com. You can also use, on anything other than tablets, you can go directly to YouTube. YouTube.com/editor is actually a place where you can edit videos in YouTube. A lot of people don't know that you can do that. So that's an option as well. You got a lot of ways to get to the top of that mountain, is the short end of that story.
Well, Becky, hopefully that answered your, oh, I see she said cool. So that, it looks like that answered her question. So thank you. That's a lot of, yeah, like you said, there's lots of options depending on what you're using. But yeah, I was thinking most kids now have a camera in their pocket or in their purse or in their school bag all of the time between phones and tablets. So if nothing else, we can always start there and get a start. So, well, thank you. I will. I'm going to move on to some closing stuff, and if anybody has any other questions, please just share it in the chat window. But I just wanted to throw out, we are kind of, I don't know, halfway through the summer, 2/3 of the way through the summer. I don't even want to say that too loudly. But we will be getting started in late August or early September with some new webinars and some topics that we're looking at covering are digital content curation, NBC Learn, and the virtual option for snow days. So those are some topics to be watching for, and just watch for information coming about those. We will be sharing dates in Twitter and in the Learning Connection and on the DOE website and in Google+. So just watch for those dates, which will be coming out soon. This week's Twitter chat is finishing up a conversation on Eric Schenniger's 7 Pillars of Digital Leaders, and this week's pillar is opportunities. And like I said, I believe that is the last week of that conversation. So join in the Twitter chat Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. And as always, there are many, many ways to keep in contact with the Office of E-Learning. And we are also still out and about for the summer. I think we've got 5 or 6, 7 conferences left. So we will be at those conferences. At least one person from our office will be at each of those conferences. But you can always connect with us in any one of these different ways that are shared on the screen. And I have seen no other, Rushton, you said that Paul had a comment that you could talk about, and feel free to do that in closing if you would like.
Sure. So real quick, Paul works with the Central Indiana Educational Service Center and was interested in how schools use videos. So while I've talked primarily about getting kids to show their learning in insightful and creative ways, there's also the opportunity to use videos to prompt questions. So videos can be really good discussion prompts. There are videos related to service, and service learning is a big deal for a lot of schools. I would also say that schools should think in terms of short videos as a way of highlighting the strengths of their school, and not just in the sense of this is who we are, but this is what our students have done in terms of their learning. Often as schools, we don't do that great a job of PR, letting the community know what cool opportunities there are at the school. And that's one of the best uses of video, is to help the community understand the wonderful things that are happening in the school. Because if the school doesn't get that message out there, somebody else will tell the story for them, and it may not be all that accurate. So just some extra thoughts there. And in closing, I want to thank just the team at the Department of Education, Mary and Michelle and everybody. And I'm really excited to be working with you this year. I hope I'll get a chance to work with a lot of individual teachers on different ideas, and that we'll be able to highlight and celebrate what your kids can do. So thanks for that.
Well, and thank you again, Rushton, for all of the great information and for this new partnership. It really opens our students up for a lot more attention and just more opportunities. So we're really excited about where we're going to go from here. So thank you, Rushton, and thank you to everybody who joined us live and everybody who is joining, listening to and watching the archived video. And definitely connect to us through the website and check out the HSDL website that you can link to from our homepage for more information. And everybody have a great evening. Thanks a lot.